I don't really understand why the heck we bought that kit.
What?
Yeah, why did we do that? How did we ever get started?
All you have to do is go up in an airplane for once or twice, and you've got to figure out how you're going to get there the second and third time. Without an airplane, you don't go very far.
This is the saga of John and Doris Gaddis and their adventure in building an airplane.
Oh boy.
When the finances got to the point where they were reasonable, we stopped eating macaroni and cheese and kicked all of our children out of college. We took flying lessons. By that time we were old, very, very old. We learned very slowly.
Well, we joined a flying club, and we were members of about 100-member club?
Oh, it was more than that, 150.
Okay.
And the club owned 15 airplanes.
Right. All
had
Cessnas.
Had their own hangar and clubhouse, and that's where we learned to fly. The club had 2 full-time instructors and had a registered mechanic, so it was self-contained. And
It was delightful, though. You could call up and say, I need the plane for 2 hours tomorrow. And they'd say, okay, fine. You got there at the time that you scheduled to be, and the plane would be filled with fuel, and it would be all ready to go, online. All you had to do was
jump
do your pre-flight, and then we jumped in. Then we enjoyed flying with the club and the Cessnas for quite a while, and decided it would be fun if we had our own plane. And we knew we couldn't really afford a plane of our own, and wouldn't be able to maintain a plane of our own. So we looked into kit planes. It came in a big box, and they delivered it to our garage.
This box you're talking about was 28 feet long and about 6 feet high, 5.5 feet high, 4 feet deep, and weighed 1,300 pounds.
Now this box also does not contain the engine.
Oh no.
Does not contain
No
the propeller,
No propeller.
and no electrical work. That all comes
No.
later. This is just a box with structures to work with.
Yeah.
So,
Most of the aerodynamic part of it.
so we opened it up and spent the first month taking inventory of all the nuts and bolts and rivets. We made a very careful records of everything that we did on the plane as we built it. Every day we would record exactly what we had done, what had been used, what went well, what needed to be done, and so we had a record of every single activity. If we had one little gear that we had to drill some holes through, that was recorded in the book on that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the FAA instructors came, or inspectors came to see what we had done before they would approve it for flight, they went through our books.
It seemed strange that we'd send our Christmas cards out to our friends and stuff year after year after year. We're progressing on our airplane. That was about everything we did.
The nice thing was that we could do it in our garage. We had a good-sized garage, and we could get up in the morning, go out, turn the heat on in the garage, come back, make breakfast, eat breakfast, and go out and work. And we were both retired enough to do that, and so it made it delightful. So, but we built what was called a Glass Air 2.
Yeah, it was 8.5 years in building.
And it's all fiberglass, and it holds 2 people.
Yeah,
And
side by
side, and lots
It goes
of visibility. It's a low wing plane.
Low wing. Its performance was really rather startling, considering who built it and the size of the airplane. We could fly 185, 190 miles an hour, a little over 3 miles a minute in the plane. It was a real go-getter.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. You push that throttle to the firewall and zowie, really Put you back in
Well,
your seat.
With our plane, we've just flown in the country here. We
Yeah.
flew it into Canada, we've flown it across to the west coast, out to
Right.
Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington,
Yeah,
down the coast,
Yeah, over the mountains. and
down to
everything.
Texas. Well, we owned our airplane how long before we sold it?
13 years.
So we flew 13 years with it.
Yeah.
We thought if we would get it to fly for 5 years, we'd be pretty
Yeah,
lucky.
be pretty good.
And then after 5, it became 10,
Yeah,
and then it became 15, and
yeah, that was it.
we had an offer for somebody who wanted it, and we thought the best time to do it would get to sell it to somebody who really wanted it, and also there's a
It's
time for everything.
us to stop.
Time for us to stop flying, and it's getting tired crawling under the belly of the plane as the mechanic. So it was time to sell it, and we sold that 2 years ago? Is it
It
now?
was 3, I think.
3 years ago? Okay.
Yeah, 3 years, about now, November.
Doesn't seem possible. Yes, it was right about this
About
time.
3 years, right?
Yep. So, but the present owner is enjoying it a lot, and that makes us happy.
I'll see.
The plane is now relocated in Franklin, Virginia,
Airport.
at the Franklin Airport.
In the same hangar that we had it in. Yeah.
Yep.
You took the hangar and all.
Now that experimental on there says merely, it was not factory built. That means it's been specially built. Okay. And remember I told you the tail nut, and that says there's 2 of us. If you look at that much, if you look at it long enough, the 6 looks like a G, A, D, D for Gaddises. Okay.
Does it look familiar yet?
Looks okay, huh? Yeah.
No, the door's the same. He hunched everything else around it.
Okay. I think the most we miss about flying now is the freedom that we experienced when we were flying.
Yes.
That was delightful. It was
Yeah.
always never the same twice, but it was absolute under our control to do what was necessary to do. And I think I really miss that the most.
Yeah. Get up in the morning, have breakfast, and say, let's go flying. The weather looks good. Okay.
You can go down the street for a mile in a car, and that's as far as you're going to go on a street. But you go down a mile on a runway, and you can go anywhere you want to go. Oops, sorry, I didn't know you were
Different. Oh, I've been editing it the whole time in my head.
We'll cut that out. Gotta remember to start this conversation repeating something about what she asked you. That's all, folks.
No, that's all.